Well, I didn't do much, but wait, there might be a surprise. So, let's talk about it, shall we? Cheers! Welcome back everybody to me doing the weekly navel-gazing, that video that usually comes out on Monday but might be coming out relatively late today, because my camera overheated. Anyway, where we talk about all the stuff I read last week and all the books I plan to read this week and all the videos I didn't make last week and all the videos I plan to make this week and so forth. And, then it all descends into rambling as always. So, where are we? What did happen last week? What did I read? Well, I did in fact finish my reread of The Decameron by Giovanni Boccaccio, and it's a really fun book, so there you go. I also read The Bright Sword by Lev Grossman, which came out, and it was a really fun book. So there you go. That too I did read. Then I did, of course, read Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. That too is a very good book. That's 3 books I read. I did also read some more theory stuff. I finished, let me think, I read a book called Selling Spirituality, The Silent Takeover of Religion by, Jeremy Corrett and Richard King? Yeah, that's their names. I did read that one, and it was good. It was entertaining. I probably won't be able to use it, but it was definitely entertaining. I also read another book on conspiracy. I keep forgetting the name. Mark Fenster, that's the name. Conspiracy theories, secrecy and power in American culture. And that one is really good. I really, really enjoyed that one. There's a lot there that I can probably use for the upcoming large video, so success. I think that's all the books I read. I might be wrong because, my brain's a bit of a sieve. So that's all the stuff I read last week. Pretty good, right? So let's talk about the books that I plan to read this week. Well, tomorrow is the release date publication date for The Book of Elsewhere by China Miéville and Keanu Reeves. And I'm going to read that as soon as it comes out because I'm very, very excited about it. July has been the craziest month so far when it comes to new releases, so there you go. That's a book that I'm definitely going to read. I'm also currently reading a book called The Most, a book on the history of the Situationist International, and The Most Radical Gesture, the Situationist International in a Postmodern Age, by Sadie Plant. That's something more for the larger research project. Beyond that, I don't fully know what I'll read next. Obviously, I will come back to Water Sleeps and Soldiers Live by Glenn Cook, and obviously I'll go back and reread The State of the Art by Ian M. Banks, but I'll also be going on to a festival, the Headbangers Open Air, on Thursday. And that means reading books at festivals is kind of difficult, much more even like reading books that I then remember to make videos about, so we'll see how that all goes. My reading plans thus are somewhat shorter than usual. But you may ask, what about videos? What happened last week? Did you actually do something? And I did. Pretty good, right? I did in fact make a video on The Bright Sword by Lev Grossman. It's out there. It's gotten a few views. It is, as usual, just a quick sort of like introductions of what to expect and why to read it, and then I go into like a spoiler-filled discussion, which, it's always a bit of a troublesome thing with a new release. So we'll go back to that in a moment. But it's out there. It's got a bunch of views. Go read the book, it's really good, and then watch the video. Apparently, I already helped one viewer immediately by marketing it or making it clear that this is apparently woke shit, and so he won't buy it. They won't buy it. I assumed their gender right now. How woke of me. So I guess I did my job. Anyway, so that's the video that I did. On Saturday, I also did my monthly Marxist malcontent live stream. I had fun. I hope those of you who were there also had fun. That was pretty good, right? So one video, one live stream, not too bad, not as good as I hoped, but what you gonna do, right? However, what are the plans for this week? Well, the plans for this week are already somewhat afoot. So obviously there will be a video on Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle, and there will be a video on the Book of Elsewhere if I can get those recorded before I leave for the festival. There will also finally be the 1348 subscriber celebration about the Decameron, and I can promise you this one because it's already recorded. It's already done. I'll probably switch it out, like either put it up tomorrow or, well, Wednesday or Thursday, depending on. Beyond that, I guess, like, if all of that works, we have 3 videos. That's more than enough, right? Compared to how I've done the last couple of months. So there we go. And that's kind of a thing that I've been thinking about. Obviously, there is the idea of putting up videos about a new release as close to the publication date as possible, because that's sort of when there's interest in texts, right? That's when people want to talk about it, because that's when people are reading it. And in today's day and age, with, you know, how many books are coming out, all these interests are very, very fleeting. It's like 2 weeks later, people are already looking at the next big book. I mean, even look at me, right? July, first week, it was Navel by Paolo Bagigalupi. Then, the next week, it was The Bright Sword and Bury Your Gaze, both coming out on the 16th. And now this week, on the 23rd, it's going to be the Book of Elsewhere. So the amount of books, the amount of releases, and the speed means that it's usually like those interests are very, very fleeting. Except, of course, you know, for the sort of like highlights that we always have in the larger booktube sphere, when someone does, you know, starts this wave, this hype wave for a specific text. Like, for example, I don't know, when everyone was rereading The Realm of the Elderlings, or when everyone was rereading Malazan, and then obviously that took a longer time because everyone was doing it, and you have like this sort of wave of every booktuber is talking about the same thing. But for whatever reason, that's not the case with Navel. I don't know if it will be the case with The Bright Sword. I suspect it won't be the case for Bury Your Gaze. And, well, maybe it'll be something with The Book of Elsewhere, because China Miéville has already, you know, made a bit of an inroad into fantasy booktube, so I guess maybe some people will read the book and talk about it. But that leads to the questions like, should I, you know, put up a, you know, new book video or whatever as close to the publication date as possible or not? And this is obviously a bit of a tough question, because it depends on the type of video, right? And that's the problem, right? I don't do just spoiler-free reviews, and the problem is, of course, that close to a book release, everyone is interested in reviews and finding out whether they want to read the book or not. And sometimes it works because someone watches my Bright Sword discussion video and realize that it's apparently Vogue shit, and so they don't have to buy it. But that's very few people. And I don't make spoiler-free reviews, right? I don't like doing reviews. I've written a lot of reviews for heavy metal albums as a, you know, writer for a sort of like German heavy metal webzine. I've done that a lot, but I don't like doing book reviews, especially doing spoiler-free reviews. And, you know, I know the book community is big on spoilers. I personally don't think spoilers matter that much, but, you know, here we go. I'd rather talk in detail about what I think makes a book good, or maybe doesn't make it good, and so forth. I think there's much more sort of to gain there, much more depth in those kind of discussions, more to learn, I guess, is what I'm hinting at. And I think that's where fruitful book discourse happens. So I want to make these kind of discussions. I've settled on the idea of doing like a spoiler-free, like, here's what you can, you know, here's a quick synopsis, here's why you should read it, and now I'm going to talk about all the other stuff, and you can sort of like make, you know, stop there, go read the book if I convinced you to read the book, and then come back and watch the rest of the video. And I know some of you have said that you'll do that, and I assume some of you have actually done that, but it's not something I can, you know, expect people to do, because our brains are all, you know, all more or less wrecked anyway, so there's this chance that we just forget, right? You watch a video and go like, oh, I'm gonna put this on my TBR, I'm gonna put this on, put a library hold in or whatever, and then maybe a month later you read the book, or 2 months later or whatever, and then you completely forgot about the fact that there was a video discussion out there afterwards. Like, I don't know how many of you read books and look for videos on books that you have just read, versus how many of you look for videos on books that you plan to read. That's the kind of data I don't have. Now, if you want to talk about that in the comments and tell me how you how you use booktube, if you use booktube when it comes to the books you read on, or books you plan to read. I'd be very interested in your take on that, because it's certainly something I'm wrestling with, and that's sort of like my question is like, do I put out the video on the Decameron tomorrow, which is Tuesday, or do I try and scramble to record a video on Bury Your Gaze, which came out last Tuesday, or do I struggle and just like smash through the Book of Elsewhere, which I don't think is that long from what I can tell, tomorrow, and try to get out the video for the Book of Elsewhere as close as possible to its release date, which is obviously tomorrow. And I don't know about that. See, because right now, like, I mean, the book coming out tomorrow, I suspect a lot of people will Google the Book of Elsewhere in the next 1 or 2 or 3 days, and having that video out might, lure some people closer to my channel, where they'll obviously be entrapped by my evil ideology of anarchism or whatever it is. Or it just all fails and no one watches the video because no one has read the book yet, and so no one's interested in those videos until, like, I don't know, in 2 months or whatever, when they have already been buried by, well, the algorithm and everything else. I just, something I've been thinking about, because I personally usually want to do stuff as quickly as possible. It's, part of the ADHD things. Like, I read a book, I'm really excited about it, I want to talk about it right now, and if I make a video, I'm also really excited about the video, and then I want to put it out as quickly as possible. And like, even the fact that I have the Decameron video recorded, uploaded already on YouTube, like, I don't know, a couple of hours ago, right? Have the video out there, have the thumbnail, have everything, and not to press the publish button is tough for me. But on the other hand, putting out 2 videos in one day feels like overkill. Also, then I won't have a video tomorrow, maybe, or whatever. And you don't have the time to watch 2 of my videos in one go, I suspect, so why not spread it out? And we've always done Mondays for weekly navel-gazing, so this is what we'll have today, and then tomorrow I'll put out the next video, I guess. And we'll see how all of that goes. But it's just something I've been thinking about, the idea of timing when it comes to specific, like, new books and thoughts about new publication. I've never asked for an advanced copy, whether in audio or in as an ebook, because then I feel beholden to making a review, and I'm always, as I don't like that pressure through the responsibility that comes with that. But like, if I buy a book or pre-order a book, as I have done both with the Book of Elsewhere and The Bright Sword, and I did with Navel, then I really, I want to read those books as quickly as they come out, right? On publication day, at 9 a.m., which is usually when the Audible pre-orders are published, usually around 9 a.m., which coincides with me going to the gym, so I can start a new book at the gym, and that's really cool. But then I want to do this as quickly as possible, not wait for like a month or so. So, overcoming my excitement for stuff versus my planning ahead, which is obviously something I'm not good at, is one of those things that I find, that I'm struggling with right now. So there you have it. That's my thoughts on these things. And if you have if you have ideas about that, what kind of stuff, I don't know why you guys watch my specific channels, like what type of content you come to me for, right? I don't know that. Is it book reviews? Is it book discussions? Is it something else? So having, a bit of a feedback from you is like whether you want me to put this out immediately, whether you watch my videos after you've read the book, or whether you watch those videos to then put books on your TBR or realize that they're woke shit and you don't have to buy them. Tell me in the comments. I'd be very, very interested in that. And since, while we're on the subject of me asking you kind of questions, there's another thing, like I've usually avoided to make videos, or I try to to limit myself when it comes to videos about the whiny videos, I call them usually, like videos about my life with a disability or multiple disabilities, if we call, neurodivergence versus blindness and stuff, like those kind of videos where I talk about my general life situation, or how those sort of reflections on how certain disabilities or neurodivergence and so forth impact my life. I try to not do too many of these videos, on the one hand because I don't want to turn this into like a channel where it's suddenly a channel about blind neurodivergent people, or a blind neurodivergent person. I want to keep this as a channel about books and media analysis and leftist media analysis mostly, right? But sometimes I feel that there is interest in doing those kind of videos. Or sometimes I feel the need, so to speak, to talk about something because, there's something that happens to me or whatever, or I run into some situation where I'm like, hey, maybe this will actually be interesting for other people to also think about, to talk about, because, it's not always easy. So I recently came up with something along those lines. It's not yet fully sort of like germinated into like a full video concept or anything, but it's certainly at the back of my head. The question is like, are you actually interested in me talking about how sometimes being blind kind of sucks, or is that something you just don't have at all because you come here for me telling you what's the hottest woke shit right now, so to speak, right? I'd be interested in that, just as another sort of like question for you. See how I'm super cleverly starting to farm engagement here. I'm getting really good at this whole YouTube thing. So like, subscribe, comment, join the Patreon. I don't know. Wait for my OnlyFans. No. In all seriousness, I'd be interested in whether you're interested in those kind of videos in general. Whether that's something, Yeah, just like whether you're interested in that kind of stuff or not, I guess, is my question here. And I think that's enough rambling for one Monday. We'll see how it goes. As I said, there's definitely one more video coming out this week. Hopefully there will be 3 videos with the Bury Your Gaze and the Book of Elsewhere videos. And yeah, I hope you're having a good time. I hope you read some good books last week. I hope you plan to read some really good books this week. I hope you're having fun. Otherwise, you're doing fun things with your life. You're not getting broiled alive by the current heat wavelet or summer in the Northern Hemisphere or anything of the sorts. And, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, I hope you don't freeze to death. But I guess global warming kind of takes care of that, doesn't it? Anyway, let me know how things stand with you guys. Should any of you actually be at Headbangers Open Air, I don't know, hit me up. We can have a beer or 3 or 10 or whatever. Otherwise, I'll see you very soon in a video about a book about priests who fuck. And until then, thanks and cheers.